Welcome to the pregame portion of tonight's game, brought to you by CarQuest Auto Parts. The Jayhawks are poised to improve on their modest 23-10 record of a year ago. They return over 75% of their scoring. They're loaded with young talent and the depth to compete with the elite teams of the NCAA. The 11th-ranked Jayhawks make their 1999-2000 debut next. Tradition-rich Allen Fieldhouse welcomes college hoops once again. Kansas tips off their 102nd season of basketball against Fairfield. Good evening, everybody. Trey Bender alongside Chris Piper for this one. High hopes for Kansas again this season. They're after their 27th straight home opening victory. And Chris, for Kansas, Kenny Gregory hoping to have a breakout year.
He really is. You know, he loves this up-tempo style that Roy Williams is trying to bring back. They didn't do much of it last year, but this team is well suited for it. And nobody's better than finishing the play than Kenny Gregory. You get him an open transition, get him 1-2 dribbles and axe him to the basket, and he's going to finish it. He loves this up-tempo. Another guy that's had a great preseason for Kansas is Nick Bradford. You take a look at his numbers from last year, but the story for Nick Bradford isn't the numbers game. He's a guy that leads this team, emotional leader, vocal leader, and they'll look to him for big plays.
For the Stags, they're led by one of the top rebounders in the country. That's Darren Phillip.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal for him. He had 24 rebounds in a game last year. A guy 6'7", maybe 6'6", actually. Not a lot of size, but he's a guy that can make plays happen. He's able to get his shot off inside, a good nose for the ball, and he's a guy that has to touch the ball for Fairfield.
Kansas Jayhawk basketball is presented by the Delta Dental Plan of Kansas. An influx of new talent for KU. They're counting on 4 newcomers in their first regular season game as Jayhawks. Kansas and Fairfield coming up next. Today's game is brought to you by CarQuest Auto Parts. For the CarQuest store nearest you, call 1-800-492-PART. The Delta Dental Plan of Kansas, the leader in group dental benefits. The Kansas Lottery. Put yourself in a winning state. Play the Kansas Lottery. Dodge. Do not follow. Do not conform. Be different. Southwestern Bell, the exclusive telecommunications choice of Kansas Jayhawks athletics. UMB Bank. Where do you turn for your financial needs? Turn to your strength. UMB Bank. Member FDIC. Look at the Kansas crowd here at the Monarch of the Midlands, Allen Fieldhouse. KU set for the regular season as they take on the Fairfield Stags. Let's take a look at the visitors lineup. Fairfield coming off a 12-15 season. Jermaine Clark, a deadly outside shooter, preseason all-conference. He was last year's conference rookie of the year, and they love the inside play of Darren Phillip, a real banger on the interior. The head coach, Tim O'Toole, his second season. He's been an assistant at Duke, at Seton Hall, at Syracuse, and he's coached under some of the best in the business. For the Jayhawks of Kansas, Nick Collison, the freshman, getting the start, the Iowa Falls product, and Roy Williams loves his game, steady and consistent. Chenoweth on pace to maybe become the all-time shot blocker at KU. Roy Williams, 12th season, and the numbers speak for themselves. A couple of Final Four appearances in the 90s, and looking for a big year here in 99-2000. Jayhawks and the Stags ready for action, and it's time to now take a look at the Dodge keys to the game. Chris, what are they?
Well, Fairfield, they want to clog up the middle defensively. Obviously, Kansas has a size advantage. They do not want to let them get the ball inside. They'll give up that outside shot, but don't let them get the ball inside. And Trey, how's your singing voice? Here we go. We're going to sing this together? Oh, no. Well, I'm not going to do it on my own. Obviously, Fairfield, they like to push the ball up and down the floor, but they cannot get in a running game with this Kansas team. They have to pick and choose when they can get the ball up and down the floor quickly and take quick shots. For Kansas, utilize that size advantage. They've got a big lineup, big advantage over Fairfield. Their tallest guy for Fairfield, 6'7". Get the ball inside. Let the big guys touch it, especially when they run. You want to reward them with the ball inside. Also expect Fairfield to run a lot of zone defense against Kansas. Kansas really hadn't worked against the zone much with the season being this early. They have to get movement offensively against that zone to get open looks at the basket.
There's a look at Kenny Gregory, one of the guys we highlighted at the top. Jeff Boschee, the three-point specialist. Didn't score much in the 2 exhibition games, and it's not such a bad thing. He is still a deadly outside shooter.
Well, they wanted to see that percentage go up. Obviously, they've got a lot of offensive tools on this team.
Chenoweth opposed by Phillip. Phillip wins the tip, and the Stags have first possession. Clark throws up an off-balance shot that won't go, out of bounds, and Fairfield will keep it.
Well, that possession right there is the story of this Fairfield team. Jermaine Clark, an explosive scorer for him, gets the first shot, and there you see Darren Phillip on the offensive glass, gets the offensive rebound.
Here's Clark on the wing, and he knocks down the three-pointer. And this is a guy that was deadly last year, hitting 69 threes. On the other end, Collison count the basket, and he draws the foul.
Always under control. That's Nick Collison. He caught that ball squared up to the basket and made a strong move toward it. You see Fairfield, after the made bucket, picked up full court against Kansas. One of the things that you see early in the year is the inability on defenses to pick up early in transition, and Kansas took advantage of it, threw the ball up ahead, and got Nick Collison the easy layup look.
Andy Busby on the floor there, drawing the personal, the senior out of Paola, Pennsylvania. And Collison trying to tie it up here in the early stages, and he just barely draws net on that one. Maybe a little jitters from the freshman.
A little windy. You know, the wind changed today from the north, went to the south. He wasn't used to it. Give him some credit there. Kansas, well, at least Kansas gets a dead ball opportunity to set up their full court press.
And here it comes, and movement on the line. He couldn't take steps, and he did. And that's a Fairfield turnover as Busby with a mental error here in the early going.
Well, you're going to have those early, especially as early in the season as it is. Plus, Fairfield playing in front of 16,000 fans. Their home gym only holds 2,500, so a big difference there in the number of people getting a chance to watch them play.
Gregory out high with the basketball, picked up by Mark Price. Collison from about 18, and he knocks it down, and Kansas has the lead. And here comes the pressure. And a steal for Bradford. Gregory to Boschee. And I get the sense, Chris, we're going to see a lot of this tonight. Pressure, full court, jumper's good from the outside as Martin Price knocks it down.
Well, Kansas definitely wants to pressure. They got away there. Nick Bradford actually was late on the intercept, but Fairfield with a late pass, and he was able to get in there and steal it.
Bradford can't connect on the three. 6'5" Jayhawks. Just a minute in here in Lawrence. Busby retrieves it, top of the circle, tries to pass inside. Chenoweth got a hand on it. Collison ahead to Gregory. His first two, 8-5 Jayhawks.
That tells you a little bit of why Kenny Gregory's percentage is so high right now. He's getting dunks.
Clark on the other end, and drawing the foul is Gregory. Looks like he's okay. The pace frantic here in the early going.
An exciting game for the fans. If you like an up and down tempo game, both teams really attacking offensively. You see Busby there just a little unsettled early in the going, a tough pass, and Kansas gets the turnover, and Kenny Gregory out in the transition. Kansas wants to play a frenetic defense. They want to make early quick shots and put you in positions where you're going to make mental errors like that. But Fairfield, you got to understand, first few minutes they're going to be a little nervous. I'd look for him to settle down here pretty quick.
Clark, a hard guy to figure. The top perimeter threat, but he shot just 57% from the line. They were 5th worst in the country in free throw percentage at 59%, and he misses both of them.
Well, overall, Fairfield really struggled shooting the ball. Shot only 42% from the floor overall.
There's a turnover. Collison losing the handle. Delfico the other way. He's a freshman. Outside, Busby knocks down the three, and we're even.
Now look at that, Fairfield just attacking right at him, not really pulling the ball back offensively. Busby with the wide open shot, and he took it.
Bradford tries to go underhand to Gregory inside, fight for the basketball, and a tie-up. Bradford gets in on the action, and the possession arrow The ball will stay with the Stags.
One of the things that's tough for Kansas right now with the lineup they have on the floor, Eric Chenoweth, 7'1". He's played against a guy that's actually 6'6". He's listed as 6'7", but Darren Phillip only 6'6". Really, this team for Fairfield is a bunch of wings, a bunch of forwards that they're playing against.
Kansas will maintain possession with the arrow pointing their way. A couple minutes in here in Lawrence. Boshi, the entry to Chenoweth, has a tough time with the handle. And a steal as Clark steps in front of Bradford. Clark short on the three. Collison the board, and he's fouled by Busby. That's 2 on Andy Busby.
Well, Andy Busby, obviously a guy that Fairfield has to have on the floor. He's a great outside shooter for him. Really takes a lot of pressure off of Darren Phillip inside, and they cannot afford for Busby to get a third foul. Eric Chenoweth, after that bad pass, is going to get a chance to sit down and think about it, and they get Drew Gooden in the game.
Another one of the super freshmen, 6'9", out of Richmond, California. Boshi in the corner, and he knocks down the three.
Now Fairfield playing a little 3-2 zone there, and they're not a team that plays a lot of zone, but they feel like they have to against Kansas.
Delfico the other way. Gooden was there, but he is whistled for the personal. That will be team foul number 3 on the Jayhawks. Here's a look at Tim O'Toole.
Second year here. Has a little background with Kansas by way of Duke. Coach of Duke. And went to Seton Hall with Tommy Amaker. A lot of Kansas people have bad memories of Duke. Of course, I am one of them.
You were one of them from the 80s.
Tim O'Toole, though, got a chance to coach at his alma mater for his first head coaching job. Really an energetic young coach. Gets up and down the floor with his team in practice.
Delfico knocks that free throw down. The 6'5" freshman from New Rochelle, New York, and the Kansas lead is 2.
2-1 full court pressure here by Fairfield.
Collison lost the basketball. That'll be over and back as Boshi tried to save it. Looked like he lost his footing.
Now Boshi actually falling backwards when Collison threw the pass to him as well. So Kansas, the Kansas works against a full court pressure every day in practice because that's what they're working on defensively. But Fairfield's having a little success in their own version of the full court trap.
Here's Mark Price, the freshman out of Buffalo, New York, trapped by Boshi and Collison, and he turns it over.
Yeah, that's where I think Kansas is so effective, and they've always been effective under Roy Williams, is the half-court defensive sets. That's something that they concentrate on early in the season, but you see the trap up here utilizing the half-court line and the out-of-bounds line as defenders. But anytime Fairfield is going to pass the ball off that closely, they're going to see a trap by Kansas. And a lot of the plays that Fairfield runs has the handoff.
Boshi tried to go backdoor that time to Gregory. Fairfield ready for it. Delfico into the front court. Tries to drop it off on the baseline. Phillip backing in, and then he throws it away. That pass off the mark towards Delfico.
Well, one of the things Darren Phillip is realizing inside is he's not going against guys that are 6'6" and 6'7", and he's thinking about that shot just a little bit more than he normally would. Normally he'd get that ball turned square up and shoot it, but now he's trying to kick it back out.
Collison from about 10 feet can't get it. Phillip, or I should say Price, ripping down the rebound, the point guard for the Stags. Good one in the early going here. 16.5 minutes to play first half. First meeting ever between these two schools. Collison almost had the steal. Price loses it. Gooden knocks it out of bounds. Back to the bench for Roy Williams. Eric Chenoweth, Kirk Heinrich, and Marlon London check in.
Well, big difference in this game is going to be the fatigue factor. Fairfield probably going to play 8 guys, maybe go 9 if they have to, and Kansas going to play 10.
Delfico trying to trigger it in. Nobody open. London all over Mark Price. Price to the baseline inside. Stolen away by Heinrich. They've got a 4-on-1. Good. And his first points as a Jayhawk, memorable.
You don't teach that. You don't teach that desire to take it right at the basket and dunk on somebody. That's a great freshman move.
Bradford ahead to London, who tracks it down on the baseline. Chenoweth In the corner for Heinrich. The freshman for three. In and out. Gooden got a hand on it, but couldn't control it. And we've got a timeout. 15:36 to go first half. Kansas running the fast break to perfection. They lead by 3. Kansas with the 3-point lead here in the early going in Lawrence. In a good one at Allen Fieldhouse.
Well, you saw a look at Tim O'Toole, real fired up there. He's talking about turnovers right now. Kansas's defense creating a turnover. Heinrich pushing the ball ahead. Kirk Heinrich looks up the floor so well for Kansas, and you see the finish there by Drew Gooden right on him. Hesitated a little bit, gathered himself, looked to see what the defense was going to do, and said, it's going to dunk it on your head and get away with it.
Gooden now will be at the front of that full court pressure as Rivers tries to trigger it into Robertson, knocked out of bounds. Marlon London with the quick hands.
One of the things you don't want to see if you're the other team is dead ball situations against Kansas's full court pressure. They're much better there when they have a chance to set up and take a look at it.
Jayhawks with Luke Axtell on the floor. Gooden, London, Heinrich, and Chenoweth. Gooden from the corner. Knocks it down. The inside-outside game for his first 2 buckets. So versatile, he and Collison.
Oh, it's so nice to have the ability to step out on the floor and see the basket and shoot that jumper when you're 6'9".
Chris Rivers with the 3, the 6'6" junior from Middleburg, Florida.
Little instant offense off the bench for Fairfield. Guy with a lot of talent, could be starting just as easily as the other guys for Fairfield.
Gooden double team for a moment, turns around from the baseline and knocks it down, and he draws the foul. Today's game sponsored in part by Dodge, the exclusive automotive sponsor of the Jayhawk Television Network. Dodge, do not follow, do not conform, be different. Well, the freshman with 6 points here in the early going and a chance to make it 7.
Now, Drew Gooden had a great first game. Struggled a little bit this last game against Australia Geelong, but he's lighting up early. He's a guy that is going to make a lot of plays. 8 of KU's last 8 points, 8 out of 8. Drew Gooden. Look at Drew Gooden here, post up. Chris Rivers behind him. No pressure on the passer, allows the easy entry pass, and you see the help defense was there early but left him, and Drew Gooden recognizes it and sticks it in.
So the freshman contributing again for Kansas. They lead it by 5 points here in Lawrence. KU 8 of 11, Fairfield 4 out of 6 from the floor, and this guy Drew Gooden has been the real spark plug. Freshman from California with 7 points, and look at those exhibition numbers.
Pretty good numbers for Drew Gooden, but the numbers tonight really tell the story because he's playing against decent competition. 3 for 3 from the floor, hit his only free throw that he's had a shot at, and it's only early in the game.
Luke Axtell missing a 3, top of the circle. Texas transfer, a guy that's starting to round into game form. Really bothered by the left broken finger. There's a miss, and Gooden with the rebound.
Still a few weeks away. You know, you got to be able to be in games to get in that game shape.
Here comes Fairfield the other way. Farrow. Ahead to Logan. Shot won't go, and Gooden tracks down another rebound. Heinrich. London pulls up for the intermediate jumper. That's short. Chenoweth the offensive board. Can't get it to go. London inside. And he draws the foul. And that will go on the Stags, and that is number 6. 16 fouls now.
Well, that's what Tim O'Toole did not want to see, is Kansas starting to gain that inside advantage, getting some guys on the offensive glass. But tell you what, Eric Chenoweth and Marlon London each got an offensive rebound there to their name, but Drew Gooden was the guy that created it for him. In there pushing, shoving, getting the hand on the loose ball.
London missing on the first charity. He was a 69% foul shooter a year ago. Jeff Boschee back in, replacing Kirk Heinrich. Chenoweth checks out. Collison's back in. And Tim O'Toole counters, going to his bench. Delfico back into the lineup, along with Jermaine Clark. This guy London really could be a star. He's starting to, that sophomore year they say is the big year where you really make some strides.
Well, he picked it up in the latter half of last year in the Big 12 action. He has as much physical talent as anybody on this Kansas team. Really can create his own shot. A lot of guys here on this Kansas team vying for those starting positions and time on the floor. Fortunately for Roy Williams, he can only play 5 at a time.
Price's pass deflected out of bounds. Nick Bradford checks in, replacing Luke Axtell. 19-13 Jayhawks. Great pressure defense. They finally get it into Mark Price, picked up by Boshi. Now the double team. And they'll have to use a timeout. That trap in the corner really giving the Stags problems.
Well, Mark Price turned his back to the defense, and Nick Bradford just ran up. A little run and jump defense there by Kansas, a call on the out of bounds. And Mark Price, once he turned his back, was doomed.
The Jayhawks, of course, we've talked about the 3 freshmen, Collison, Gooden, and Heinrich. Luke Axtell, a junior this year, the transfer from Texas. And those are exhibition numbers, but impressive nonetheless.
Yeah, they really are. Luke Axtell only played in one of those exhibitions, and all his points actually came inside, not outside. But I'll tell you what, this group of newcomers and this group of freshmen are all capable players. Obviously, Nick Collison getting the start, but Heinrich as well could get the start. And Drew Gooden, I don't think Coach Williams has any lack of confidence in any of them being able to give him some good quality minutes on the floor.
Collison earning the start as a freshman. Quite an honor in this program. Price outside into the corner. Clark finds Logan, and he lays it in off the window.
Nice ball reversal by Fairfield that time.
Bradford's pass intended for London, knocked out of bounds. Logan with the quick hands. This is a Stags team that really gets after you defensively. They're pretty quick.
Well, they like the up-tempo game as well. Didn't really suit them that well last year. It was a first year for Tim O'Toole. He's got him going. He's an energetic coach and really translates a lot of that energy to his players. Now they fall back into that zone defense. They're going to give up that outside shot to Kansas, but they are just so outsized inside that they have to find some way to stop Kansas's size advantage.
And Boshi takes steps. I was impressed with O'Toole in the shoot-around. So active. He was out there defending everybody during their practice session.
He was running up and down the floor. Made me tired.
Jayhawks by 4 as we near the 13-minute mark. Price gets called for the second time for turning the ball over, carrying it, something we see Allen Iverson do all the time.
Well, I tell you what, everybody does it. It's going to be tough this year to, I mean, that's a habit that most players have been doing all their lives, and all of a sudden now you're going to start calling that. You're going to really have to watch yourself.
Back to the zone for the Stags. London inside Gooden. Collison from the baseline. Nick Collison has 6 points. The other way, the Stags in a hurry. Logan in and out of there. Boshi with the rebound. And he loses it.
A great hustle by Nick Bradford. Really took Jeff Boshi off the hook there, and ill-advised behind the back in traffic, and Nick Bradford putting himself down on the floor to get the ball back.
Gooden dishes to Bradford for the lay-in. And the foul.
Watch Drew Gooden here in this little zone pressure, or zone defense by Fairfield. The ball comes in high. His ability to hold the ball over his head and look over that defense gives him a great advantage at passing the ball. When you've got big guys that can pass the ball inside like Drew Gooden, bring the defense to him, kick it over. He has a lot of ways to make a pass. A lot of times you look at a guy, he can only make a bounce pass or only can make a scoop pass, but Drew Gooden can pass really from any angle.
Bradford missing on the free throw, but there was a lane violation. Fairfield will go to the bench. They check in Chris Rivers, replacing Logan. Well, another guy, a big man that could pass the ball pretty well, number 25. And, you know, you hate to compare Gooden to Manning, but there are some comparisons just by the way he plays out there. Inside, Chenoweth missing a short one. Rebound for Phillip.
Well, obviously, when you see any Kansas guy in a uniform that can, a big man that can pass the ball, you think about Manning, because obviously he was probably one of the, well, probably the best passer that ever have a uniform at that size for Kansas, but Drew Gooden really a guy that's got great soft hands and a great instinct for the game as well. That's, you know, a lot of people overlook that instinct to be able to see what's happening on the floor and see plays opening up before they actually happen.
Delfico missing on the other end. Kansas settling into the half-court set, leading by 8 points. Chenoweth, the turnaround, and he knocks it down. Eric on the board. Time the Stags breaking the pressure with Price on the wing. Rivers thought about the three, and he travels. 11:38 to go first half. Jayhawks with the working margin now, up by 10 points in Lawrence.
Kansas opening up a 10-point lead here, 25-15. Watch what the big men are doing for Kansas. Fairfield is so concerned about him that the whole defense has shifted to the ball side. Looking at Drew Gooden and Eric Chenoweth, or Nick Collison, that opens up Nick Bradford on the weak side to get the easy bucket.
Jayhawks on a 9-2 run over the last 3 minutes. That not only opens up that stuff down low, but also the perimeter shooting, and that's why this team can be so dangerous.
Well, definitely you've got the tools both inside and outside. Obviously, Kansas has the ability to hit the ball outside, something that we haven't seen them have to do much of, obviously, because of their dominance in the 2 exhibition games.
Collison showing you better cover him out there. He'll knock it down. He has 8 points. A pass ahead to Price. And he can't get it to go. He was underneath the basket. Gregory on the defense. Cross-court Bradford. Picked up by Clark. In the paint. And he buries the 10-footer. Bradford playing with a lot of confidence.
Well, he's a senior. He knows what he's supposed to do on the floor. He's not trying to think of plays as he's got the ball. It's just instinct, taking it right at him.
Delfico, and that's a charge. Boshi had position. And that is team foul number 7 on the Stags. And the first on Delfico.
Well, Nick Delfico, a freshman mistake there. He'd made up his mind at the free throw line. He was taking that ball all the way in, and that allowed Kansas to set up defensively underneath and take the charge.
Tim O'Toole's going to check in Oscar Garcia now, a 6'8 freshman. And one of the forward positions. Back to man-to-man for the Stags.
Oh, boxing one, actually. They're Jermaine Clark guarding up Jeff Boshi man-to-man. Everybody else playing a 4-man box for Fairfield.
We don't see that too often. Gregory missing on the jumper, and it'll be Stags basketball.
Not a bad idea there, really. Jeff Boshi, the only true outside scorer for Kansas there. Nick Bradford really hasn't been known as a shooter on the perimeter, and neither is Kenny Gregory.
The pressure forcing the turnover. 5-second call. Bradford doing the job on the inbound man.
But, you know, it makes it so tough on the inbounds, man, when you've got somebody guarding you or getting his hand in the passing lane. That way you don't have a free look at everybody. And Oscar Garcia, a freshman as well, made the mistake of not giving the ball up early enough.
13 turnovers now for Fairfield. Kansas trying to stretch their 14-point lead. They leave Collison alone again. Short on that one. Rebound for Phillip. Ahead to Boo Farrow. To Clark. And a blocking foul called this time on Jeff Boshi. He's a little bit slow getting up.
Well, Fairfield pretty good at pushing the ball themselves. Got that long rebound and shoved the ball up the floor. Good call there, Jeff Boshi. Moving, trying to draw the contact.
That's the 3rd team foul on Kansas. And heading to the stripe, Jermaine Clark. There's a look at Roy Williams. Sporting the glasses again. Looks like that'll be the look for him. A new look this year for the coach. The sophomore Clark knocks down the first free throw. Kirk Heinrich back in, replacing Jeff Boshi. Boshi launched 222 three-pointers last year. You can bet he won't throw up that many this year.
No, definitely. He's going to have to really work on his shot selection. He doesn't have to take as many shots with this team, and also he's got to be able to keep them turning the ball over.
Gregory off the feed from Bradford. Kenny now with 4 points. Clark takes Chenoweth inside. Can't get it to go with the left hand. Scramble for the loose ball, and Rivers retrieves it. 14-point Kansas lead. corner, Rivers. Picked up by Collison. Going to back him in for the basket. Jenner with the rebound. Tough sledding inside for the Stags. Heinrich all the way inside. Dishes off to Gregory. And a charge is called.
Well, one of the few times you see a bad decision by Heinrich. Just took it a little too deep that time. Fairfield had gotten back on defense pretty well, had 4 red jerseys in the paint, and Heinrich about 1 step too many.
Son of a coach, Kirk Heinrich.
I thought you were going to call him something else there for a second, Craig.
Of course, Collison, the son of a coach as well. Boy, you just don't teach that.
Well, no, and that's why these guys are so fundamentally sound.
Phillip inside. Chenoweth got maybe a piece of that. Collison the rebound. Collison thought about the 18-footer. Dishes off inside to Gregory instead. He misses a short one. And Phillip tears away the rebound. He's a real terror on the boards.
Well, 4 boards already for Phillip.
It's the guy that had 24 boards in a game last year against Loyola of Maryland.
You know, some guys just have a nose for the ball. They're always around the glass, always working, moving to get to an opening.
Robertson in the corner. Clark short on the 3. Gregory the rebound. Pace is slowed here a little bit as we near the 8-minute mark. And there's a steal. Booth Farrow stripping Heinrich. And he takes it in for the lay-in. The junior from New Jersey. He's been battling an infected blister on his foot. Looked good on that play. Phillip almost had a steal. Kansas will keep it. Jayhawks leading by 12 points. Here's a note from the Kansas Lottery. Play Powerball. Tomorrow's Powerball annuity jackpot, $19 million. Put yourself in a winning state. Play the Kansas Lottery. Well, Tim O'Toole, a little bit shell-shocked. He knew he'd be in for a tough evening, didn't he?
Well, they knew it was, if they had a chance to win the game, it would be a slim chance, if any. But they really looked at it as an opportunity for them. Come in here, let their players see how the big schools do it.
Shante Johnson on the court for Kansas. Axtell, Heinrich, Gooden, and Marlon London. 10 on the shot clock. London with 5. 15-footer. Nothing but the bottom of the net.
Boy, you can't play defense any better than that right there for Fairfield. Played great defense against Kansas. Didn't give him an open look, but Marlon London, with his ability to create his own shot.
And Robertson's fouled by Heinrich.
Actually, Fairfield looked better defensively in man-to-man than they did in their zone that they were trying earlier.
14-point lead for the Jayhawks. The freshman stepping up. The defense solid. KU in front. Over the Fairfield Stags. Don't miss the Jayhawks' last game of the century, the 1999 Sprint Shootout in Kansas City. This year's doubleheader features the KU men and women as they face off against St. Louis University December 30th. Call 1-800-34-HAWKS today for tickets. Make sure you're Y2KU ready. I know you'll be ready, Chris.
Oh, yeah. Fired up, ready to roll.
There's Ashante Johnson, a guy that may have to step up his game a little bit more now with the injury to Lester Earl, who is not playing tonight, still bothered by that chronic knee problem. Farrow inside, can't get it. Fight for it underneath, and Fairfield controls Phillip. Outside to Robertson, who knocks down the 3.
It was a parting of the Red Sea that time defensively for Kansas. They just let Fairfield get right to the basket, then gave up the offensive rebound.
Leroy Robertson with the steal, the Brooklyn native. Inside and missing the lay-in is Busby, and Axtell with the rebound.
Well, Busby still not able to get under control. Had a great game last year against Duke, so he's played against a top-level team, but so far tonight, he has been missing some easy shots for Fairfield.
Ashante Johnson gets on the board off the London miss, and it's a 13-point lead. Robertson on the other end, and it'll go the other way. The Kansas Jayhawks will have it. Tonight's game on the Jayhawk Television Network presented by the Delta Dental Plan of Kansas. Kansans and Jayhawk fans' first choice in group dental plans. Experience the Delta difference. So Heinrich, Axtell, Johnson, London, and Gooden, the 5 for KU. Heinrich tries to go backdoor, a collision. A couple Stags run into each other. Robertson and Phillip, and the Jayhawks will keep it. Boshi back in for Heinrich.
Again, good defense there by Fairfield. No opportunity to get the ball down to the baseline like Heinrich was looking at, but Fairfield really getting settled into a nice half-court defensive rhythm.
London outside to Axtell, picked up by Farrow. Mismatch there. 6'10" against 6 foot.
Axtell can just stand there and look right over him and shoot him.
London's pass deflected. Axtell saves it. 5 on the shot clock. 3 on the clock. Axtell's going to pull up, and he knocks it in. His first points as a Jayhawk. Now Fairfield will slow it down and set their half-court offense. Clark from the wing.
And that's been their half-court offense. Clark having a good game, and they need it from Clark right now because Phillip has not been able to score, and he has been the main man for Fairfield.
Gooden in and out on that jumper. And Clark has 8 of their points so far. 5:40 to go first half. Jeff Carey will check in at the next break for the Jayhawks. Looks like Nick Bradford ready to come in as well. Phillip inside against Gooden. Muscling inside, loses the handle, goes up. Gooden got a piece of it. Saved in front, and it'll go to Kansas. Great effort from both clubs. Nobody could get the handle on the ball.
Well, nowhere to go for Darren Phillip. He catches that ball inside, and everywhere he turns, there's a white jersey. Kansas had 4 defensive players around him. Watch this. He gets the ball inside in the post, and Gooden stays down on his feet for the most part. Nowhere to go for Phillip. He's playing 1-on-4.
Jeff Carey now back into the Kansas lineup, the 6'10" sophomore. Good to see him out there. He's battled a sprained left ankle. Missed the California All-Stars game, the Camdenton, Missouri product. And here's a turnover as London throws it in the backcourt.
Now 10 turnovers already for Kansas. And a lot of those unforced errors, just throwing the ball away. Looking for somebody in a spot where they're not. Still early in the season. Kansas, you know, one of the things with all the depth that they have, it's kind of tough to form a rhythm. You've got a lot of substitutions going on. Coach Williams still looking for the right chemistry on the floor, and it's tough for the players as well.
Phillip had position on the blocks, gets the feed from Clark and finishes, and he'll go to the line and try to convert on the three-point play.
Yeah, this is what Darren Phillip does so well. You see Fairfield get the ball outside, and 2 Kansas players go to pick up Jermaine Clark. That leaves Darren Phillip open inside. Miscommunication, or more appropriately, lack of communication on the part of Kansas' defense.
Hard to believe Phillip's first points in this game. He is their leader on the inside. He misses on the free throw. He had 11 double-doubles last year.
Well, you know, at 6'7", really probably more like 6'6", it's so tough for him to play center. You saw that last year against Duke. He only had 2 points. He is just outsized inside, and it's tough for him to be able to get a shot off.
One of the top players in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Here's a turnover. Clark ahead to Robertson. And nobody back. He lays it in. And the lead is 8.
Kansas offensively trying to make too many great plays, something we did not see much of in the first 2 exhibition games. And now they're going against a little bit better team defensively, and Kansas trying to make things happen where there aren't opportunities.
Bradford's pass out of bounds intended for Carey. Jermaine Clark showing some emotion. The Stags right back in this ball game. 8-point Kansas lead as we near the 4-minute mark.
Well, you know, one of the things, Trey, also when you're playing an up-tempo game, a lot of possessions, it gives you an opportunity to get back in games when you're down 15, say 20 points sometimes.
Mark Price guarded by London. Logan, and he takes steps, trying to work against Gooden. That's a guard, guarded by a forward, or center in this case, in Gooden.
Well, Tim O'Toole just can't believe it. I think that's about the 4th whistle we've had as far as palming the ball or traveling, something you don't see very often. But sometimes when you're going against a team that's a little bit bigger physically than you, you're trying to make such a quick move that you'll slide that pivot foot.
Carey to London, tries a reverse, won't get it. Phillip with a rebound. Stags trying to cut it to 6. Price left alone for 3. In and out of there. London the rebound. Jayhawks running. Heinrich. all the way for the bucket. He's on the board for the first time.
Well, when you talk to Roy Williams about Kansas basketball, what does up-tempo means, he talks about pushing the ball at all times, not only after misses, which most teams will do anyway, but after made field goals as well.
Logan with an air ball. That might have been deflected by Heinrich. Bradford has it stripped away by Clark, and he retrieves it. And another steal. Here comes Robertson the other way. Price will slow it down. Kansas with 4 new players about to check in. And a foul on the floor. This will be on Drew Gooden.
Now Kansas right now really pressing offensively. It looks like they're playing catch-up. It's like they're a step behind, and they're trying to make it up with a great pass instead of just saying, hey, let's settle back, pass the ball on the perimeter, look for opportunities, and let the opportunities come to them rather than trying to create something on every play.
Roy Williams checking in Chenoweth, along with Collison and Axtell and Kenny Gregory. Mark Price. He had 10 threes last year as a senior in high school in Buffalo. Outside shooter, but he can't connect on the free throw. Gregory on the other end. Oh, what a move. 6 points for the junior. Cut off by Heinrich. Tries to shoot over Chenoweth. It's an air ball. Collison with the rebound. Heinrich to Axtell. He knocks down another jumper. KU by 14. It was 8 at one point. The Jayhawks back into the double-digit lead.
Now Luke Axtell extremely excited after that last shot. He's looking a lot quicker on his feet than he was last Saturday. Able to get his legs underneath his jumper, and obviously he's a fluid shooter. Last week we saw him shoot 2 threes in a row back to back, and the second one he was falling out of bounds, asking Coach Williams to pull him out. He was so tired.
Now the Jayhawks next game right here on the Jayhawk Television Network against the Pepperdine Waves. And that will be December 2nd. We've seen Pepperdine in here in the past. They, of course, lost their coach, Lorenzo Romar, to St. Louis.
Yeah, he's just a few miles down the road, isn't he, from Pepperdine? How come all the coaches from Pepperdine end up in the Midwest?
I don't know. They must like the cold weather.
I was going to say. That beach view just doesn't cut it for him, I guess.
It's a 14-point Kansas lead. 2 minutes to go here in the first half. Clark guarded by Axtell. Interesting matchup there on the wing. Robertson in and out on the 3. Axtell the rebound. He guards the perimeter, and then he goes and gets the board. Collins into the hoop. Axtell, an air ball on the follow, and there's a foul called inside. And this one's going to go on Chris Rivers. That will be the 18th foul on the Stags. So Luke Axtell, the gunslinger from Austin, Texas. Opportunity at the line.
Luke Axtell going to get a little different version this year. You know, he's a guy that's used to being the man. He was the man down at Texas, sat out all last year. Now coming into Kansas, it's going to be almost impossible for him to be able to break into the starting lineup because he is playing the 3 spot, and he's got Nick Bradford in front of him, and I think it'd be a long time before you see Nick Bradford sitting on the bench.
Axtell with 5 points. Kansas has a 15-point lead here in Lawrence. London to Heinrich, and they convert on a fast break. KU out to a 15-point lead in their season opener here at Allen Fieldhouse. Let's take a look now at some other scores brought to you by ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. The Gators, a team that many people think they're going to go a long way this year, out to the huge lead.
Well, I hate to see Steve Robinson struggle in that. Yeah, they look at Kentucky up by 4.
Utah playing without Hannah Meadow in that game.
Utah's tired of seeing Kentucky.
Hurricanes have the lead. UConn. Kansas with Kenny Gregory converting. He now has 8 points, and they push the lead to 17. Approaching 1 minute to play. Stags trying to get their half-court offense to work. Phillip has been shut down so far. Tries to work against Chenoweth. Can't get it to go. Gregory the rebound.
Just too much size there to go over for Darren Phillip.
The ball kicked by Clark. He'll reset the shot clock.
At 7-1, all that Eric Chenoweth's got to do is stand there, arms straight up in the air, and not much Darren Phillip can do about it.
And this is a Fairfield team that's not shying away from competition. They go to UNLV Sunday. They take on UCLA on Tuesday.
And they play UConn later on in the year. Played Duke and UConn last year. Tim O'Toole just feels that this is a chance for his program to establish something, to see how the other schools play, and they play the same way each and every night out.
Axtell short on the three, tries to track down the miss, but can't do it. Great effort as he runs over a couple Stags on the bench. And you know that shot's going to come around. He hit 39% from three-point land as a Longhorn 2 years ago.
Well, he's got to get his legs underneath him. Obviously, that's the most important part of shooting a jumper from that distance. And Luke Axtell more worried about the defensive end right now than the offense, and rightly so.
And there's a charge. Clark out of control trying to dish it off, and he runs over Nick Collison. And they'll go to the other end.
Well, you just have to be under control offensively when you enter the lane against Kansas, because Kansas is going to be camping underneath there defensively with the help defense, and they'll take the charge. Watch here the drive coming through, and Nick Collison standing there. He made an X on this spot. He was there so long, and Jermaine Clark trying to make something happen, but you have to do it under control once you enter the paint against Kansas.
Roy Williams will use this opportunity to talk things over. 26 seconds to go here in the first half. Jayhawks had a couple spurts, and we're going to see a lot of spurts from this team due to their defense. They're going to get buckets and bunches this year.
Well, if they continue to play the up-tempo style of game, you know, Kansas at this point is not comfortable with the full court pressure, but it's something they want to continue to work on. But if they're going to be doing that, yeah, you're going to see a game of spurts, and hopefully for Kansas, it's going to be more spurts offensively than the other team. Roy Williams there calling a timeout, giving Kansas a chance to set up their defense after the free throw.
Nick Collison at the stripe. He has 8 points. Chance to move into double digits before halftime. Good line so far for the freshman, but he misses on the front end of the 1-and-1. Stags can hold for one if they choose. Looks like that's what they're going to do here with 15 seconds to go in the first half. Phillip. Cross court, Garcia. Little hook shot, and he gets it to drop, and he draws the foul. Wasn't pretty, but counted.
You know, Trey, that right there is proof that what Tim O'Toole is doing with his team in this killer road schedule of theirs is going to work for him, because, I mean, a shot like that for Oscar Garcia, even if they lose the game by 15, 30 points, I mean, that's a confidence booster for a freshman like that to come in, playing at Allen Fieldhouse against Kansas, and being able to hit a shot like that. That's something that's going to help them down the road, and that's the whole purpose of this.
6 seconds to go. Ball knocked out of bounds by Garcia. Kansas will have time to set up for the final shot here, leading by 14. Axtell into London. 5 seconds. He'll fire up the three-pointer. In and out of there. Robertson the rebound, and that will bring to a close this first half of play. Kansas with a couple spurts. Their defense strong again, and they lead Fairfield at the break 46-32. Jayhawks trying to win their 27th straight home opener, and they've got a comfortable lead here in Lawrence, Kansas. Trey Bender, Chris Piper back at Allen Fieldhouse, the Jayhawks season opener. Sellout crowd as always, and the number 11 team in the country out to a 14-point lead. Up-tempo game in this one. And Kansas has gotten a lot of easy baskets. And they're hoping they can do that throughout the course of this season.
Yeah, they want to create things on their defensive end. You know, one of the bad things, though, for Kansas is although they created 17 turnovers by Fairfield, they also had 13 of their own turnovers. Take a look there at the freshman-dominated leading scorers for Kansas. Collison and Gooden combining for 15 points. Kenny Gregory 4 of 6 in the first half. All 4 of those were within a foot of the basket. Actually, looking down, how do you judge that? Plus 2 feet, or I tell you what, he is so explosive inside.
Roy Williams, college basketball's winningest active coach, working the sidelines. We talked about Fairfield. Their coach Tim O'Toole said we're either ambitious or insane playing 6 NCAA tournament teams this year.
Well, you know, the thing that he realizes is their season really is a 3-game season when it becomes tournament time, because the only way they're going to be able to get in the NCAA tournament is to win the NAAC's tournament. And so he realizes that, hey, no matter what you do during the season, they've got to be prepared for that tournament. So a few losses aren't going to hurt them.
Here's Delfico inside, blocked by Chenoweth. But he got the hand as well. A lot of ball, but he draws a personal.
Now Nick Delfico at 6'5", he's just got to take it right at the big fella. It's the only thing you can do against a 7-footer. You stay away from him. You give him the chance to block the shot, and he's able to draw some body contact underneath.
Eric Chenoweth with 140 blocks in 2 seasons, 78 last year. Delfico has one more coming. How'd you rate him against some of the great KU shot blockers, Greg Ostertag and some others?
Well, before he's done, he's actually going to be the best shot blocker at Kansas as far as statistics go.
Delfico can't connect on either one. Bradford with a rebound. Same starting 5 that started the game. Gregory in the paint, and he knocks down the 8-footer. Kenny in double figures with 10. And the pressure broken. Ahead to Clark against Chenoweth, and he gets the bucket and will head to the line.
Well, Eric Chenoweth there ends up getting a foul for somebody else's mistake. A great move up here in the front court by Jermaine Clark. You see Boshi just loses him. Jermaine Clark goes long, and Eric Chenoweth sees him going behind him, tries to get there, but he's no way Eric Chenoweth's going to win that foot race.
And the Todd Day lookalike converts on the 3-point play. He has 11. Now some pressure from the Stags. Bradford will bring it up. Man-to-man. The Stags now into a zone here in this series down. Chenoweth underneath. Gregory. The nice feed from the big guy for the bucket. And he draws the foul.
Well, both possessions now for Fairfield have been the zone, and they're really not as effective in the zone defense as they were in the man-to-man defense. Kansas able to find gaps in it, and that's usually because Fairfield and teams like that don't practice a zone, they're just not very good in the zone defense. They don't realize that instead of worrying about man, you're worried about space. Kansas also with the great ability to get the ball inside to a big man. Defense collapsed.
Housen off the Gregory miss, can't get it to go out of bounds. Kansas will keep it. Here's a look at the Iowa product. And he really looks more like a junior out there than a freshman.
He really does. 8 points, 5 rebounds in the first half for Collison.
In that international play, the AAU play sure doesn't hurt. All that experience over the summer.
Well, he's a smart player, too. Besides all the skills that he has physically, he's really got it between the ears. He knows where to be, knows how to get into open spaces.
Boshi knifing inside. Out of bounds, it'll go to the Stags. Kansas by 15, a minute and a half in the second half. And here comes that full court pressure. Get it into Logan, but he's trapped in the corner. Busby out of the pack with it. To Phillip. against Chenoweth. Charge called. It'll go the other way. And you know the coach likes that.
Well, you love to see that from your 7-foot center. Instead of trying to let him go by and block the shot, he just holds his ground, stands right there, and lets Darren Phillip initiate the contact and get the foul. Just as good as a block shot.
Believe it or not, that's his first personal. Fairfield back to the zone. Inside Collison. Jayhawks patient on this trip against that zone. Out of bounds. Kansas will keep it. Collison trying to work against Phillip. That'll be a test for him.
Yeah, Darren Phillip. For him to play as many minutes as he's playing, banging bodies with Collison and Chenoweth the whole time, that'd be a pretty good shape.
Boshi backdoor. Chenoweth with a stop.
Tell you what, great hands there by Chenoweth, because that ball actually hit the front of the rim before Chenoweth was able to get to it and catch it. Got to look over the top for Kansas.
Logan back outside. Jumper on the way. Price can't get it to go. Boshi with the basketball. He's in a hurry the other way. Pulls up. Chenoweth had it, knocked out of bounds by Phillip. Boo Farrow checks into the Stags lineup. And he'll replace Mark Price.
Watch Kansas on the inbounds play. Going to set a back pick here by Nick Bradford. No communication on the weak side by Fairfield, and that lob is right there. You know, people sit there and they watch it and they say, hey, everybody that watches Kansas knows that Kansas is going to do that. Why doesn't the coach do something about that? Well, Tim O'Toole did. He talked to his team. He said, this is what they're going to do exactly. But yet you get in the heat of the game, players forget about it.
And you could understand 16,000 plus causing, making a difference as well. Logan the other way. And he gets the lay in. 15-point Jayhawk lead. And a foul called on the Stags. That time, Darren Phillip picking up his second personal, trying to guard Boshi. It's a Fairfield team that's, I think, going to scare some people this year. It'll be a factor in conference play, coming off a 12 and 15 season.
You know, there's no question they've got physical talent, but they have to be able to put it on the floor each and every night out. And that's why Tim O'Toole is saying, hey, let's play against these teams that have no real reason to play hard against us, but will. And then he can say to those players, hey, they play hard every game, and you've got to do the same.
Busby missing badly from three-point land. Clark retrieves it. And it'll be on him the rest of the game.
Yeah, definitely. It's the thing you do not want to do here.
Not in this place. There's a reach-in foul called on Gregory. Trying to guard Clark. Heinrich checks in for Jeff Boshi. 16,000 plus here at Allen Fieldhouse. A house that Fogg built. One of the meccas of college basketball, and no better place to see college basketball. You get some arguments from some people, but this place can get deafening at times.
Well, standing in the middle of the floor here when you're on a run, boy, what, you can't hardly hear anything. Actually, the only thing you do hear is your ears ringing.
16 and a half minutes to go, 52-37. Clark's going to run the point now.
Down to 10 on the shot clock.
Rivers from three, and he knocks it down over Collison. Rivers with 6 points. And here's a steal. Rivers comes up with it. 3-on-2. Farrow to Phillip. Trying to muscle up Chenoweth. Blocked again. Got a piece of it that time. Underneath. Scramble for it. And we've got a tie-up. I think Tim O'Toole wanted a foul on the far sideline, and he's not going to get it. We've got a timeout on the floor. 15:57 to go in this one. Eric Chenoweth and the Jayhawks up by a dozen. season opener in front of Fairfield, 52-50. 52-40, I should say. 12-point lead here in Lawrence, Kansas. Southwestern Bell gives you unlimited internet service for just $17.95 a month. Sign up now at 1-800-SWB-INET at Southwestern Bell. Southwestern Bell will make a $25 donation to the Williams Fund after just 3 months service.
I'm going to say 52-50, and we're a little worried.
Well, they're making it interesting.
Tell you what, Fairfield right now, they look at the faces on the floor. You look at them coming out of the timeout. They think they've got a chance to win this. They're only down by 12. They're still fired up, ready to play, and this game is by no means over.
They're taking on Tim O'Toole's personality, a fiery coach. He's expecting big things this year. Facing the zone, Chenoweth tries to feed Collison back door, and they turn it over. Jayhawks haven't lost a season opener since 1972. That was to Vanderbilt in a home opener. Rivers the other way. And now they'll go to a little bit of their delay game here.
They'll take a little air out of the ball.
Phillip blocked by Chenoweth, blocked again, but this time he's whistled for the personal. That'll be 3 on Eric.
Great perseverance by Darren Phillip just to keep going. He's just getting beat up inside. He can't get his shot off. It's getting blocked every time. He got knocked down to the floor the last possession, but he just keeps on going. The whole Fairfield bench cheering him on after that.
Didn't work on the boards tonight so far, but can't find the basket.
Fairfield spent some time in their shoot-around today working on a little delay game. Actually just cuts to the basket, but not really looking at the basket, not putting themselves in a position to turn the ball over. Try and slow down the pace of the game a little bit.
Very good, and then Marlon London back in for the Jayhawks. He misses on both free throws. Heinrich in a hurry. All the way in for the basket. Pretty move. He has 4.
Heinrich kind of gives you that Jacques Vaughn feel, his ability to just take the ball coast to coast. He pushes it so well, looking to pass it off, and hey, if you don't stop him, he'll take it all the way to the glass.
Gooden picks up Rivers. Phillip knifing his way inside, and he's tied up. Marlon London with the defensive job that time, and it'll be the Jayhawks basketball. Now hold on. No, it's going the other way. Fairfield will keep it. There's some confusion there for a moment by the referees. The Stags will have the basketball. Lou Farrow triggers it in. Clark blocked by Gooden. And a foul called on Clark. What a play on the perimeter.
Well, Jermaine Clark, he's not used to somebody that big having that much quickness coming out that far to block the shot. He just had a little smile on his face.
Boy, he continues to impress as this game wears on. 14-point Jayhawk lead now. Heinrich, London, Bradford, Gooden, and Chenoweth. The 5 for Roy Williams. Inside Gooden, the turnaround. Short. London tries to crash the glass, can't get it. Phillip off to Farrow. He's left alone for the 3. In and out. Chenoweth the rebound. And he's fouled. And if that's Phillip, that's 3, and it is.
Well, unfortunately, when you're the guy that is shorter than the rest of the guys, you feel like you should get some calls, but they usually don't go your way. Officials feel like, hey, you're in there scrapping, pulling, trying to get there, but they're not going to give you those calls.
They're going to have to take him out with 3 personals now. Costly foul. Oscar Garcia checks in. Let's see if Kansas can exploit that a little bit. Back into the zone. Jayhawks 54-40. Heinrich to Gooden. Bradford knocks down the jumper.
Well, Nick Bradford's looking so much better with the jump shot this year. Much more confident with it. And really, when you see him take the shot, you feel like he's got a good chance of hitting it. As compared to last year, he struggled a little bit shooting the ball.
And here's a steal by Bradford and a lay-in. The senior does it on both ends.
Now, Nick Bradford does it everywhere on the floor. Every time you see his stats at the end of the game, he's got something in every call.
Farrow with a nice move off the glass. He has 4 points. Pace picking up a little bit now. Kansas by 16. Heinrich trying to go inside, and a foul called on Delfico, trying to guard on the low post.
Oscar Garcia got stuck on Chenoweth's back there. And
they're both down there. It will be Garcia. That's number 2. Trying to double team the big guy, and extremely outsized down there.
I think Oscar Garcia just climbed on his back and went for a ride. You know, this is something that Fairfield was well aware of, was Kansas's size advantage inside. They spent some time in practice working on it. One of the things that they wanted to do is get pressure on the ball, but unfortunately when you're playing a zone defense, it's tough to get good pressure on the passer, especially on the wing.
Chenoweth will try to cash in. Last year a 74% foul shooter. He has one more coming.
Yeah, it's so nice to have your big man hit that great percentage from the free throw line. Eric only missed 2 free throws out of 13 attempts in the first 2 games.
And he gets them both.
You know, you look at his ability to hit the free throw, and he's got a great soft touch for a jumper. You got to wonder, why is he only shooting 45% from the floor? One of the problems Eric has is sometimes when he catches that ball inside, he's not attacking the basket. When he learns to be able to do that with confidence, he's just going to be that much better of a player.
Axtell called for the foul on the jumper from the baseline from Rivers. Let's take a look.
Now, Fairfield really likes to push the ball. They'll look to exploit your weaknesses early, and you see Luke Axtell committed to go for the steal and puts himself in a position where he's behind the defense. A little tap on the arm. Put Rivers at the line.
There's been some talk about playing Axtell with the off guard instead of the small forward. We'll probably see both of that, but he's probably more suited to play that small forward from the defensive standpoint, isn't he?
Well, definitely, and then on offense as well. He's not that great of a ball handler. He's a good ball handler, but not good enough to play that 2-guard spot.
Chris Rivers from Middleburg, Florida. Spark plug off the bench last year. One of those guys that's playing at 6'6", 215. See a lot of guards in the Big 12 at that size. He's playing up front. Misses on that one. London with the rebound. Looks inside for Gooden and throws it over his head out of bounds. I think Gooden thought that might have been going to somebody else.
Early pass against the defense is a tough pass. You got to move the defense, make them move. Wait for them to make a mistake before you try the penetrating passes. And now they're going to call again Mark Price for palming the ball. Not giving him any slack.
That's 3 times that's happened to the freshman from Buffalo. Kansas by 17 as we near the 13-minute mark. Now Tim O'Toole's going to bring back Darren Phillip right now with 3 personals. He replaces Chris Rivers. Kirk Heinrich running the show at the point for KU. Guarded by Price. Axtell puts it on the floor. The defense from Delfico. 10 on the shot clock. Heinrich inside. Can't get it to go. Going hard to the floor. Collison. Stags have it. Price. Garcia. And the Spaniard knocks it in. Leon Spain.
Tough shot for Garcia. He really wasn't set. When he started to take that shot, I was thinking that was a bad shot. He was falling away.
Collison. Short on that one. London with the follow. 5 points for the Chicago product.
Got to box out everybody on Kansas because they're going to be crashing the boards.
Robertson drives in on Gooden, and the scoop shot is good. 15-point Kansas lead. 12 minutes to go in this one. Gooden lost to handle. Out of bounds, and Axtell collides over there with Delfico, and Axtell's down. Let's hope it's nothing serious. Seemed to turn an ankle maybe, Chris. It was hard to see from our vantage point.
Yeah, it was. He went down. He just looked like he twisted something falling, and he had to roll back over. But Luke Axtell obviously does not need any more injury problems. He missed a lot of practice early with a broken bone in the left hand.
They'll try to walk it off. Kansas up 62-47. Junior Luke Axtell went down hard with the Jayhawks leading it by 15 points here over Fairfield. Let's take a look.
Yeah, watch his left leg here. It gets kicked out from underneath him. It looks like he twisted it early, but watch this second time. He goes down. He holding his leg there. Looks like he might have pulled something, but he's back on the floor.
Well, that's a good sign. Right back out there.
Oh, it hurts worse when you wake up tomorrow morning than it does right now.
You had a few of those in your playing career, I take it?
Slip sliding.
Marlon London on the line for KU. They try to extend their 15-point lead here. Combo guard from Broadview, Illinois, a Chicago suburb. Isaiah Thomas's school. St. Joseph's can't get the free throw, but saving it is good, and out to Heinrich.
Just so active. I mean, the thing about you love about Drew Gooden is he's in every play that happens, every possession.
And Axtell drains his first three, and he is excited about it.
He's been fired up every time he's made a basket in both last games. He's just so happy to be back on the floor.
Well, that's emotion right there. 18-point Kansas lead. Boy, it's fun to watch that rainbow jumper go in. He's a sight to behold on the wing.
Oh, he's just so smooth. I mean, he's got such a great release, a great jumper. You see him get his legs underneath him, get set, high arch, extremely high arch, more than what you see from most people, but he's just fired up, happy to be back on the floor, even happier to be scoring.
Some guys are good shooters, but they don't look pretty, like Tim Hardaway firing up jumpers, but that's a pretty jumper.
It really is.
Out of bounds, turnover, Fairfield. Jayhawks will have it. Tonight's game sponsored in part by Dodge, the exclusive automotive sponsor of the Jayhawk Television Network. Dodge, do not follow, do not conform, be different. 65-47 Kansas. Trey Bender, Chris Piper from Allen Fieldhouse. Collison feeds London, can't get it. Collison tries to keep it alive. Out of bounds. Jayhawks basketball. Boone Farrell's going to check in now for Fairfield. Kenny Gregory for Kansas.
Well, Kansas posts up so well. See Collison there, but it's such a tough angle to make that pass there. Gooden with one or two dribbles over to his left, or maybe kicking it to the wing. Could have made that entry pass much better, but Kansas has Tim O'Toole acknowledged to his team today, probably the best in the country at finding ways to post up the ball inside to their big men.
Roy Williams said there would be an emphasis on getting the ball inside. Heinrich on the feed from Collison. Work to perfection. Couple Iowans hooking up there, and then traveling is called. Heinrich with the defensive position.